Hello, my name is Putkonen. Thank you for joining me. Today I'm talking about how to let go. This is a question I get sometimes. People will ask, how do you let go in terms of emotional stuck energies or trauma or whatever. And it's not an easy question to answer because letting go is something we've all experienced, we've all done. And so to say, how do you let go, is asked when you don't want to let go. And so you're asking, how do I let go of this thing I don't want to let go of? And to kind of illustrate this, say you're holding a 1 kilogram bar of gold and you're on a bridge. And so below you is river, valley, whatever is let go of disappears forever. And so you're holding on to this 1 kilogram bar of gold. So it's like $60,000. And I say, let go. In this scenario, couldn't you see, well, how do I let go of this? How do I let go of this? The question rises because you don't want to let go of this. You see some value. You see the $60,000. You see the gold, and you go, "Oh, I don't want to let go of this. So how do I let go of this?" And it's the same way that we treat our own traumas and pain, really. We don't want to let go of them. We are self-sabotaging ourselves in our ability to let go. Because as I've said, we've all experienced letting go. I mean, have you never forgiven someone in your life? Have you never forgiven? Forgiving is a letting go. It's a letting go of what was done, what happened. Someone insults you, you forgive them, you've let it go. Anybody who's forgiven anyone has experienced letting go. And so how were you able to forgive? And if you try to do it mentally, try to mentally contemplate this question, you might think, well, I'm not sure how I let it go. I just let it go. And that's the way it works. It's as simple as opening your hand. And how do you open your hand? If you want the detailed instructions on how to open your hand, you go, what do you mean? You just open your hand. That's all it is. There's no way to explain it. You just open your hand. And so if somebody was trying to explain, well, how, if they look at a scenario where they forgave, well, how did I forgive? Well, I don't know. I just did. I forgave. I let it go. Or how about surrender? Have you never surrendered in your life? Be it surrender to God, surrender to the situation, whatever it is. Have you never surrendered? And surrender is a form of letting go. But then if somebody asks, well, how did you surrender? I just let go. I just surrendered. That's all it was to it. There's no way to explain further. And so I would suggest tapping into your own experience. Some point in your own past, you've surrendered or you've forgiven. You've let go in the past. How do you do that? You just did it. There's this feeling, in a way, of letting go. I just let it go. And so just let it go. And if you can't let it go, that means you're holding on to it. It may not be a conscious, I don't want to let this go, but on some level, subconsciously or unconsciously, you don't want to let this go. And so you're fighting yourself. On a conscious level, you're like, well, I'm trying to let this go. I should let this go. But on a subconscious or unconscious level, you're like, I don't want to let this go. And so you're kind of fighting with yourself. Kind of like if you're holding a gold bar over a precipice. I don't want to let this go. I want to keep this. I don't want to let this go. And if somebody goes, well, you'd be better off if you let it go. But yeah, I don't want to let this go. How do you let this go? That's the kind of situation we put ourselves in. And so what you need to do is you need to delve into your own beliefs, your own concepts, the things that you are rationalizing why you shouldn't let this go. On what basis should you not let this go? What are your reasons? Because holding on is an effort. Really, it is. If you really look at it, it is an effort to hold on. And so letting go is ceasing to put any effort at it. And it slips away. I mean, if you're holding a bag and it's taking effort to keep a grasp and keeping it lifted, and it's like, how do you let go? Well, you could just cease putting in the effort to hold it, and the bag slips from your hand and falls away. Cease making those efforts to hold on to whatever it is. And one of the ways you can cease making those efforts is by observing, investigating, questioning, doubting your very rationale or deep-seated reasons why you think you should hold on, why you can't let it go. And so maybe somebody did something to you and you have some deeper belief that, well, I feel they should ask for forgiveness. And until they ask for forgiveness, I can't let this go. Well, you can't control other people's actions. Furthermore, the other person might not even believe they did anything wrong. And so very well could happen that they never ask for forgiveness. So now you're holding on to this for the rest of your life. You're making your misery and happiness dependent upon them asking for forgiveness. And until then, you're going to hold on to this and you're going to keep that wound open. And you're just going to cope with the misery and suffering and continuing to hold on to it. But if you got rid of that belief, that concept, that need that they should ask for forgiveness, and just go, well, it doesn't matter whether they ask for forgiveness or not. I don't see the point of making myself miserable anymore by holding on to this. And so I'm just going to let it go. And in that way, you might overcome your own reasonings for not for not letting go, for holding on. And so it could be any number of things. I mean, the need for the other person to ask for forgiveness is just a common example among many. But you have to analyze, not so much analyze. It's not a mental thing. It's better to go through the feelings. What do you feel to be the reason? Because there's a feeling, that's anchoring the primary drives. And so, that's why I said, I feel I needed a apology before I let this go. That's not I think I need an apology. No, it's I feel it. No, I'm holding on to this because I feel I need this first. What do you need first in order to let go? And then you need to look into this to see the fallacy of it, the futility of it, or in any other way, why it's false. And when the false is seen as false, often it falls away. And then that's one less thing fueling or keeping the binding there. And so it might be easier to then let go. Now, there's another analogy. It's not really an analogy, it's more of a parable, but it's a Zen story about how we tend to hold on to things. And there's a parable there's two Zen monks, and they're traveling, and in their particular sect, they basically have no contact with women, and so it's kind of a forbidden thing. You shouldn't have contact with women, yada yada yada. Anyways, so what ends up happening is these two monks, as they come up to a river, they see this woman who's, trying to figure out how she's going to cross the river. She's kind of distressed. She can't quite walk across, but she needs to get across. And the monks already planned on crossing the river themselves. So the one monk scoops up the woman to the shock of the other and proceeds across the river and puts her down. And the two monks then continue on their journey. And miles down the road, sometime later that day, the one monk is looking at the other, still kind of in disbelief. So he outright asks, well, how could you do that? You know, we are forbidden to have contact with women, and you picked her up, you had contact. And the other monk kind of laughs and goes, I picked her up for the duration of crossing the river, and I put her down and haven't thought of her since. You've been carrying her this entire time. And that's the nature of holding on. That is an internal holding on, not being able to cope with what happened. And so this one monk is holding on to the fact that the other monk had contact with a woman, and he couldn't let it go. Just couldn't let it go. And the other monk, you could say it's out of an act of compassion or whatever, but anyways, he briefly had physical contact with a woman and then put her down and left her behind. He just let go. He let go at the moment he let go of her. But the other got stuck. And if he was to analyze, well, why can't you let it go? It's because he had this rule in his head. This absolute rule that he's picked, that you should never have contact with women. And so this person broke the rule. And how could they do that? Which is an unrealistic rule, really, in terms of, and what does it really matter? I mean, it comes down to, why was that rule put in place? But no, on a superficial level, he just accepted the rule, made it an absolute in his mind. And now that he's seen another monk break it, he just can't let it go. And that's the whole thing, is you need to see this tendency to hold on to things long after the event happens, long after it's past. And it's like, why are you still holding on to this? Now, the question is not to ask, how do I let go? Because you just let go. You just let it go. You surrender, you forgive, you whatever. These are just different terms that are aspects or equivalents of letting go. You let it go. If you can't let it go, then you have to look at why you can't let it go. Why are you holding on to it? What is it within yourself that is saying, I can't let this go for this reason? And you have to see through that, because as long as that's not dealt with, you're not going to be able to let it go. You're going to, like I said, on a conscious level, you may go, yeah, I see that I should let it go. I see there's value in letting it go, and I want to let it go, but I just can't. And then on a subconscious or unconscious level, you're like, no, I can never let it go because I need this to be fulfilled, or this situation to be corrected, or whatever. And so it's two different levels going on. You've got the subconscious, unconscious, saying I'm not going to let it go, and you got the conscious mind, which is far more fickle and has less power and decision-making ability, really, saying I want to let it go. Well, if you really wanted to let it go, it would be let go of. If you really wanted to forgive, it would be forgiven. How do I let go is similar to the question people sometimes ask, how do I forgive? Well, if you wanted to forgive, you would have forgiven. You don't want to forgive. That's why you can't. And so you need to analyze what's holding me back. Why can't I let this go? What is it? And so the answer to the question, how do I let go, is first fully own the fact you're not letting go because you don't want to. It's you that's holding on. You don't want to let it go. And so now you need to figure out why you're holding on. On what basis are you holding on? Why can't you let it go? And once you see through that, then you might find it just drops away without effort, because it's the effort that's holding it on. It's no effort to let go. Letting go is a cessation of effort. And so letting go requires no effort. If you are trying to effort your way into letting go, or effort your way to forgiving, or effort your way to surrender, you are fighting yourself, because there is something deeper that is contrary. There's some reason that you're holding on to of why I can't let this go, why I can't forgive, why I can't surrender. And you have to look at that deeply and see it completely before you try to let go, because you can't do this through effort. It is a cessation of effort. It's not an effort to let go. You can't force your way to let go. You can only cease holding on. And then, and you cease holding on by trying to find out why you keep holding on and on what basis you're holding on, and why you can't let it, why can't you just let it go? But, I don't know. Seems a little repetitive maybe in this video, but I'm trying to get the point across. And I kind of hit it from a couple different angles. So, if you got any questions, comments, please post below. But until next time, thank you much.